When is the next 10x coming for XRP? You guys are probably sick of hearing me talk about how XRP has still been the best performing asset since the November 2024 election, up over 500%. If you bought XRP during the depths of the bear market, you would be up over 900% buying XRP at 20-30 cents. But for those of you guys that are new, you're tired of listening to guys like me talk about how we've already made 5 to 10x on our XRP bag, and you're wondering, do I have an opportunity at a 10x return on XRP? Well, the short answer is yes, but if you want to stick around, I'll explain where it's going to come from. I do believe that it's inevitable, and as I've been saying for quite some time, invest in the inevitable. Now, we were saying that it's inevitable that the SEC versus Ripple case will end and that XRP will be deemed not a security. That is now played out, and this is one of the reasons why XRP is finally broken out, but it still has a lot of room to run, and I'm going to explain why I believe you're going to get another 10x out of XRP, even for those of you guys that bought at $2.50 to $3.50. I am speaking to you. If you are new to XRP in the past year, this video is for you. Let's get right on into the update, folks. Starting off here, Bitcoin setting a new all-time high yesterday, up at 125,700. I do believe that we could see another Bitcoin top coming in today, October 6th. Okay, and so I'm looking for Bitcoin to set another top and for that to be the cycle top on Bitcoin. Now, before you get too, upset with me, please understand, this has been a heck of a run for Bitcoin. You have the law of diminishing returns playing out for this asset. And so to me, it never was going to break above 200,000 this cycle. Could it go up to 200,000 or $1 million eventually? Sure. You're welcome to make that bet. But for me, the bet that I'm placing is I own 0 Bitcoin, I own 0 Ethereum, and I'm waiting for Bitcoin to top out here, and then we'll see that rotation into our altcoins, and that's what's going to happen. As even billionaire Paul Tudor Jones is saying that Bitcoin is one of the biggest winners in this market, but he himself has to acknowledge that there are other performing, better performers, and he just goes straight to the meme coins. But I'm going to break down how these guys are not going to be able to skip over XRP when these conversations are taking place. Let's take a listen here. Billionaire investor Paul Tudor Jones. Let's get a quick listen.
If you look at the biggest winners, right? The biggest winners are gold. I think it's up 46, 47%. Bitcoin, I want to say it's up 50 or 60. I'm not even sure. There's a Morgan Stanley basket that's a retail flow basket that has all the meme stocks in it. It's up 67, 68%. So it's really what retail jumps on. So crypto, digital gold, that's obviously something that's very, very appealing.
Does that mean you're jumping on all of that right now?
Well, I'd want to have positions in all of it, for sure. So if you said to me, what are going to be the winners? Again, we have this race.
Right.
The race realistically is certainly to the end of the year because that's when everyone marks institutionally. And then you have to figure out what's going to go on in next year. So what would I want to have? I'd want to have a combination of gold, crypto, probably the NASDAQ. I think, I want to say that I've said that before, and I think that's still the right one. And I think whatever the fastest horse is at this point in time probably has a good chance of being that on deck 31.
Okay, so what is the fastest horse so far this year? Digital asset investor. As you're force-fed the daily Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana narrative, here's a nice reminder you won't be getting from Cointelelie, CoinDesk, CNBC, Squawk Box. It's all a big show because on the year, XRP's up 459%, Bitcoin's up 98%, Ethereum 85, Solana 59. I love it when a good psyop fails. Now you'll note, Paul Tudor Jones said that he'd want exposure to not just Bitcoin, crypto. I agree, Paul. You better come on in, and you better get on in quickly. And like you said, we're measuring until the end of this year, or what will probably be the cycle top for a lot of assets. But we've broken down why the dynamics here and the catalyst, the tailwinds behind XRP, although it's been so frustrating, the delay with the XRP ETF set to go live this month, and here we are in the middle of a government shutdown. But just like I was telling you, when we got delay after delay after delay with the SEC case, and we were wrong, it was boring, XRP sucked for 4 years. Well, if you bought XRP during that time, you're up 900% like us. And just like we're getting delayed right now with the government shutdown, it will end. We will come back out of this. And what's inevitable is that the SEC will approve of the XRP ETFs. After that, what's inevitable? Inflows in the tens of billions. Now, nothing's 100%, but as an investor, it is my job to make bets. And it's all based off of odds, right? And probabilities. And so I'm trying to make bets in assets or plays that are as close to inevitable as we can get. How do we do so? Well, we track data. And the data at the CME is showing us that we've had 59 billion in combined XRP and Solana futures volume, with CFTC regulated options on Solana and XRP futures launching in just 1 week at the CME. So the data showing us the institutional exposure and trading of XRP and Solana is showing us that there's tens of billions of volume that are going to be traded. There already is right now. So we don't have to speculate too far. I mean, this is not far-fetched out there. We're not digging too deep or coming up with a crazy XRP conspiracy theory. We're not solving a riddle. We're just saying, 59 billion of volume traded, and basically in the past 4 or 5 months. This has not been live for a year or a couple years. This is just in the past 4 or 5 months. And so this is why I say it's inevitable for a double-digit XRP and another 10x on XRP. You can only delay the inevitable for so long. After this government shutdown ends, the XRP ETFs are going live. We will be well on our way to double digits. And my base case is a $20 to $30 XRP. I have more conviction in that base case when I hear Canary Capital CEO upping his prediction of not just 5 billion inflows into the XRP ETFs first month. Now he's doubling that. And he's saying 10 billion. He might have been too bearish with 5 billion inflows. Now he's saying 10 billion. And I've shown you guys with the market cap multiplier on XRP what happens when we see 20 to 50 million of inflows into XRP. And XRP grows by 2 to 500x market cap wise. And so what that means is that if we get 10 billion to 20 billion of inflows into the XRP ETFs year one, you would times that by at least 100. Because the market cap multiplier that we're seeing on XRP, even over extended time periods like a 1 month or a 1 year time frame, is that the multiplier is still over 100. As it gets more aggressive, you talk 5 to 10 billion first month, well, then that multiplier might be 200, 300, 500 or more. And this is where XRP goes to 10, 20, and 30 bucks. And so, yes, another 10x is on the way for XRP. I think that it's going to come in by the end of next year, right? So as Paul Tudor Jones said, what's the best play between here and the end of the year? I still think you could see XRP double up, run up towards 10 bucks. And then into next year, you're looking at this asset being well on its way to 10, 20, and 30 bucks based off of the data that we're now seeing at the CME. And we plug that into our equation on what kind of inflows are we going to see from the ETFs. And we just keep it conservative. No $1,000, no $10,000 XRP, but just, hey, do you want another 10 bagger? You put in 10 grand and you have 100,000 by next year. I think you have an opportunity here. Now, Grayscale, first ETF to enable staking. That just went live today too. This is going to bring in more adoption. I don't own any Ethereum, but I'm rooting for it. I'm rooting for Grayscale and what they're doing here with the Ethereum Mini Trust ETF and the Ethereum Trust ETF have become the first US listed spot crypto exchange traded products to enable staking, another first mover milestone for the firm. Their Solana Trust has also enabled staking pending regulatory approval of GSOL's uplisting to an ETP. It would become one of the first spot Solana ETPs to enable staking. This is great. Absolutely love to see it. Rooting for this, more adoption, more people that are going to come in here and park assets in the digital asset space. Now, the good news, if you're looking to stake Ethereum in your retirement account or your IRA, our sponsor, iTrust Capital, does enable that right now as well. Staking meets retirement. Yes, you can stake Ethereum in an IRA and keep rewards growing tax advantaged or potentially tax free, depending on what kind of retirement account you are using. And so this is why I was so happy to plug in iTrust Capital as a sponsor. Once again, you can do staking on Ethereum in your IRA or in the premium custody account as well. So once again, while we're watching, Grayscale first ETF enabling staking, that's good, step in the right direction. iTrust Capital has already enabled it. The big 401k unlock that's coming, retirement accounts moving into crypto, iTrust Capital is already ahead of the game. So check them out. Use my link down below and my promo code, which is Rector9, all caps Rector9, and that's going to get you an additional $100 funding bonus. Now, let's zoom in here, short-term timeframes on XRP, Terra, Precision Trade 3. Let's see what she has on her levels. XRP is trying to reclaim the critical $3 level. Here's what I am tracking. Once it breaks up, there's really only one more resistance at $3.17 that needs to be cleared. Alts need volume and to start moving now. And I think you're going to see this after Bitcoin tops out today. You can see I'm expecting a big move to $3.48 and then a test of the breakout at $3.17. So she's saying once we break $3.17, we run up to $3.48, but then we probably back test back down to $3.17. We want to flip that into support. Once it's at that test, we will measure the fifth wave, right now only targeting a double top at $3.67. So a lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people don't want to hear that, right? That you got a double top at 367. But I want to note where this is lining up for me. This, and I still think XRP is well on its way to double digits. Like I said, another 10x on the way. That's going to take some time. But we have a Bank of Japan decision coming up at the end of the month. And the bonds in Japan right now are at their highest level since the Great Financial Crisis. The 30-year bonds at its highest level ever. New prime minister just came in. And it's getting dovish over there with the stock market flying, everything ripping over there in Japan. But if the Bank of Japan does raise rates at the end of the month, this could start to unwind that reverse carry trade. And this could be a big catalyst that could bring in a correction at the end of this month. So, I was expecting without the government shutdown that we were going to get this run up before the ETFs go live, buy the rumor, sell the news on the ETFs. Well, government shutdown comes in, that threw off our entire plan. And so I don't hang up on, this was my target, this was my timeline, and let me just ignore all of the information and the current dynamics in front of us. No. I disregard the old targets and timelines and say, okay, new information is here. The government did shut down. ETFs have now been delayed. But as we see this thing play out here, Bitcoin's going to top out, a little rotation into the altcoins. And I still think that you get a rally here through October. How high we go, we'll see. I'm not expecting double-digit XRP this month. But what I am expecting is a run-up, and then I'm watching closely for the end of this month. The Bank of Japan decision could send ripple effects across our market as we're still going through a debt, currency, and liquidity crisis. Japan, kind of the tip of the spear when it comes to this. So that could cause a pullback. And so I'm going to be watching and making sure that I'm still liquid and that I have positioned myself accordingly for that coming in. But it is inevitable that the government will come back on. I know some of us want to see it just shut down forever. It's inevitable that the government's going to come back on. It's inevitable that the ETFs are going to go live. And in my opinion, it's inevitable that you're going to see 10 to 20 billion of inflows into the XRP ETFs year one, which leads me to say that it's inevitable that another 10x is coming for XRP, $20 to $30 base case next year. So the good news for those of you guys that are late, you bought in XRP in the past year, you're tired of hearing me talk about the 10x that we made, we got another one on the way. So stay tapped in with us. Let me know how you guys see it playing out in the comments down below. Stay tuned, though, because we're in crunch time, fourth quarter of this cycle. There's only a few assets that are going to make it out into a super cycle, in my opinion, XRP being one of those. So if you appreciate what we're doing, let's like it, share, and subscribe. Appreciate you for stopping by. Everything's at ZachRector.com. God bless. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.